Hello students, this video is for sculpting for beginners. I'm going to start using the cube. I'll subdivide this. I'll go to the modifier. I'll start from subdivision of 6 and I'll apply this. I'll select this model and I'll go to the sculpting tab. So once we are in the sculpting tab, you can see there is a brush icon which is hovering on the geometry, means we can sculpt. So I'll click and drag. Now you can see we are into the sculpting. You can push and pull the volume. You can draw here. The first brush which we are using is the draw brush. So you can see here when we cursor over. It is better to know the names of it. As a beginner, you need to know the names, right? So I'm going to move my cursor, and once I get the divider, I'll click and drag so that you will get a name. Okay. So there are many tools available here. When you go for ZBrush or Mudbox, in ZBrush you will find more and more tools than even Mudbox. But the very important tool is always the foundation for your sculpting. Okay. So I suggest the very important tool as 3 in the starting. Okay. So the draw tool, the first one is draw tool. So where you can draw and sculpt the detail. You can increase and decrease the brush size. One, you can see my cursor in this top area where you can increase the radius and strength of what is the percentage of you are pushing and pulling. That can be maintained using this strength. The other thing is you can see here plus and minus. So the plus and minus indicates about either you are pushing it or pulling it. So by default, you can see here what happened to my viewport. It's suddenly showing a different tool and I am inside the object mode. Okay, so I'll change back to this sculpt mode and I'll decrease this brush size. You can decrease from here. You can also right click and decrease even from here. Okay, and the third one is you can even see here the right side. You'll get the active tool property. Whichever tool you have selected, you will see the property and you will get all the properties here. The easiest way of increasing decreasing is similar to the Photoshop. Like you can use bracket keys to increase and decrease the brush size. So when you click and drag, it is you are adding the mesh, right? It's like a clay model. So if I want to do the opposite action, you can hold the control and click. See, now we are digging inside. Okay, we are pushing it, you are digging inside. So you can use the same shortcut key like Blender you use for navigation. I'm holding middlemost button, click and drag, and I'm seeing like what I have done. So this is the first brush which you want to practice more. Okay, then the second brush is grab tool. Okay, practice the grab tool. That is for your second brush. So grab tool is to grab the part of the mesh. Okay, so I'm going to snap this to my front orthographic and I'm going to increase the brush size. So now you can grab and you can plan to bring the base shape of your sculpt. So I'm dragging in both the side. You can see here, right, this side and the other side. So instead of this, we can add a symmetrical. So you can see my cursor here. There is one option here called XYZ. We can switch on the symmetry. So for now, you can see this red line that indicates x-axis. So I'm going to click on this x-axis. That is my symmetry axis. Now if I click and drag, I can do a symmetry sculpting. So quickly we can bring the shape of our character or any design which you are planning out, and you can rotate. Okay, you can also hold and snap it to this axis, and you can just click, drag, and bring the shape of your character. I'm not going to do any character design here. I'm just teaching you the very important tool startup, as this is the first video. Okay, so instead of exploring each and every brush and wondering like what to use for which one, uh, I always teach step by step. Follow this so that your learning process will become easy. Think like when you are doing the drawing, we always draw with the basic shapes, and even when we are doing with the character design, we start with the basic shapes. We combine the basic shapes and we play together, right? In the same way, when you are doing a sculpting, okay, plan combining the basic shapes and form your character. Okay, and that sculpting will become really easy when you go with this idea. Okay, to combine the basic shape, what you can do, you can just go to the layout mode. Like for example, I want to add a neck for this character, so you can just add any mesh. Okay, for example, let's say the lengthy one like cylinder. Okay, and I'll take the scale tool and I'll scale this volume, and I'll go to the scale tool and I'll scale in one axis, and I'll just move and I'll position it like this. Okay, so next thing, you can go directly to the sculpting mode. Okay, and you can see we have two meshes. So whichever the selected mesh you are going to sculpt. Okay, there are some shortcut key also you can use. So for now, you can also see here on the right side there is a brush icon. Even you can click this and jump between the sculpt. Okay, so either if you want to sculpt the cylinder, click this and you are in the cylinder mode. So very easy. So now if I am going to sculpt in between this cylinder, it's not possible because it doesn't have the proper density. Okay, to check the density, to check the wireframe of it, you can go for this option, viewport overlay, and you can switch on the wire. So here we have a very good dense, so we can push, pull, and we can bring the shape of it, right? But in this case we don't have, means the cylinder, so we need to add the density. Either we can add the density in our layout modeling section, or if you want to add the density in the sculpting region, okay, then there is one option called remesh. Okay, so you want to go for remesh. So in the remesh, you can see there is a voxel size. Voxel is nothing but a 3D pixel. Okay, so more the value, okay, then there will be a very bigger voxel size. Lesser the value, then there will be a very tiny voxel size. Okay, so to visually understand like what is happening, you can go and press Shift R. Okay, when I click Shift R, it is showing the voxel size actually in the value of 0.1. so this is what we are going to get the mesh. So if I move my cursor, so you can make it the mesh or the polygon is very bigger polys, or if you drag the other side, so you can make it very dense poly. Okay, so lesser the value, more dense. Okay, so I want somewhere according to my face, so I'll click on Shift R, plan your mesh. So this will be our mesh. I'm going to apply it for my cylinder. Okay, and we have decided like what is the density, but we are not yet applied. To apply it, you want to click on Control R. So once you tell Control R, now you can see here we have applied. When you are stretching more, what is happening here? So the poly are becoming very bigger in size. So on that time, so whenever you do more stretchy things, so what you want to do, you need to again recalculate the mesh. Tell Shift R, plan the size, what is the density you want to go for, and tell Control R, you are going to apply the dense mesh. So now what you want to do, you need to go back to the layout mode, plan the basic shapes for ear, nose, okay, and come back to the sculpting mode and sculpt all as a separate. For example, one more I will show you, like I want to add a ear. Okay, so I'm going to add another mesh, like anything you can take, even sphere or cylinder, according to your design. It's all according to your design. So for now I'm going to take the sphere. Okay, so I'll scale this. You can go here, tell mirror, So it is mirroring in the same position according to this origin, and select which is the mirror object. So my center object is already the face, right? So if you click the face, then you will get this. Okay, then you can go back to the sculpting mode and you can start defining the shape. See, we always learn stage by stage, okay, while we are learning the drawing. In the same way, even in the character design also, we always start character designing by combining multiple shape, because the shape language has some meaning, right? In the same way, while sculpting also, plan multiple shapes and later on we can combine. There is no big deal. So for now, I have not yet completed my basic shape also. Just for the class purpose, I'm going to show you. Before combining, one thing is, this is the mirror one, right? So you want to apply the mirror. This is not a mirror, so you can go for it. So just select the geometry both and tell Ctrl J. That's it. So when you tell Ctrl J, it's joined. Okay, it's joined, but it's not merged together. So you want to go for the sculpting. Okay, you can see still both are looking like separate geometry. So just add remesh. Okay, plan like Shift R, plan the dense, and tell Ctrl R to apply the sculpting. Then you can see we have merged it. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce another tool. The very another important tool is smooth tool. Okay, this one. So I told about draw, grab, this smooth. Using this three tool, first you need to practice a lot. Okay, then only go for other tools. Okay, so I'm going to click on the smooth tool and click and drag. So it's merged, right? There is one very easy shortcut key for smooth, because it is oftenly used tool like draw, grab, and smooth, right? So for smooth tool, Shift. So when you hold Shift, it will toggle between the draw and the smooth tool. When you release, I am in draw mode. When you hold Shift, I am in smooth. Okay, like that. Okay, so but if you want to reduce this strength, keep in mind, when I am in draw tool, I am seeing the property of the draw. Okay, so when I hold Shift, still I am seeing the property of the draw. So better, what I suggest is, go back to the smooth tool, decrease the strength. Okay, don't sculpt in one shot. Okay, always don't increase the strength and sculpt in a one shot. Go for multiple strokes. I'm using this smooth, decrease the strength, came back to the draw, and now holding Shift, you can smooth. So once you have a good practice of draw, grab, and smooth tool, okay, then you can go ahead and explore other tools. So what is the second level of exploring tools? Explore this draw sharp. This is a very, very useful tool to dig inside and create the shape of it. Sharp tool. Clay is for adding the clay. Okay, you can also go for draw tool, but the fall off value is totally different than the clay. Okay, it's like a very soft mud. So if you want something like very hard mud, then you can go for clay strip. Okay, the other tool which is very important, like for example, let's say snake hook. Okay, I'm going to click on snake hook and click and drag. See what you can do. So you can increase, you can pull out that particular area like this and make something like a horn. But when I drag more, see what is happening. When I stretch it more, the polys are all stretching a lot, and you can see like what is happening in the wireframe. So we require more dense in this region, right? When I am dragging according to my brush stroke, I require more dense on this kind of condition. Okay, so which tool will be very helpful on this kind of condition? You can go for DIN-topo, means dynamic topology. Okay, so this is going to dynamically apply when you sculpt according to your brush stroke. So I'm going to switch on, okay, the dynamic topology. Okay, so let's say yes, and when you click and drag, what happened? It created very few shape, and you can also see many jagged polygons are there, very less polygoned. You can see what happened here, right? So it has decreased my dense actually. These are all happening because of the value. So just go inside and see the detail size. Okay, so here you need to fix like what is the density of the mesh you are planning for. Okay, so if I decrease this and if I drag again, now you can see we have good number of volume. Okay, so you can also add a combination of this detail size with the detailing of a relative detail, and you can even change to other also, and you can see like what will happen. So I'm going to change it to the brush detail. Means according to my brush, I'm going to control the density of the mesh. So if my brush size is bigger, I'll get a lesser detail. So you can see using the wireframe. If my brush size is big, the mesh density is less. If my brush is smaller, then the mesh density is more. So that is called brush detail. You plan for it like which one works for you, explore first. Okay, then you can go for it. Okay, so I'm going to decrease this and click and drag. You can see more detail size and a very big horn I created. Other tool which is very helpful is the radial. Okay, you can see here X. I'll switch on the X and we'll get only a mirror kind of symmetrical we can do, right? But I need more. Like a radial design. So on that time you can go here inside this and you can see there is a radial value. So you can increase this radial value, like let's say I'm going to increase x-axis like 6 times, and now if you see I got a 6 time same value. Now I can do some very good decorative detailed design. You can switch on for anything, like I'll bring back this to 1 and I'll increase z-axis to 6, and now I'll do the design of it. I'll just go for smaller brush size. You can see here it's the radial, very useful, very handy. Radial. So let's bring it back. I'll undo this. So that is the next important tool. I'll bring this back. So we have discussed about all this. Clay thumb. It is like like you're just moving the part of the mesh using your thumb. Just think on the soft clay, you are just using your thumb and moving the clay. So just explore. Very rare, rarely used tool. Layer. You can add one more layer on the same sculpt. It is looking like a clay strip, right? But it's not. So I'm going to show you with an example. So I'll dig here first. Okay. And if I go to the clay strip and drag, see it is filling it up. So see here what is happening. Same thing if you go to the layer is going to add one more layer of the same design. So that is called layer. See, I added one more layer of the same thing. So that is the usage of the layer. Inflate. Inflate is another very useful tool. Okay, you can see the differences between inflate and blob. Blob and inflate are very closer actually, but I use lot inflate, and sometimes if you want to blow more, then I go for blob. So to show this with the right example, I'm going to go for the snake hook tool. Okay, so now let's say like I want to decrease this volume of it, so I can go to the inflate and I can hold control because I want to reduce the volume of it. See, now I am reducing the volume through the inflate. So if you have reduced the volume, okay, if I want to increase, just click inflate and drag. See, I'm increasing the volume. So we can increase the volume, control, we can decrease the volume of it. Okay, blob is a similar one, but it will blow more than inflate. Okay, The next important tool is crease. So crease, if you want to make something like, sharp lines, if you want to bring out some sharp lines, then you can go for it. So I'll just add my mesh somewhere around 0.02 and tell Ctrl R to apply the mesh. So when I click and drag, so I have a very bigger size of mesh. So only you can see here what is happening. So let's decrease this using the bracket key and just click and drag. So you can see here it is giving a crease edge, that is called crease edge. So the most cases, while creating the sharp lines, we always go for control and click and drag, then you will get the very sharp lines. If you want more sharper line, if you want more sharp line than this, okay, if you want more sharp than this, you have to make it more sharp. See here, if you want more sharp line than this, the other tool which you want to go is pinch. Okay, so pinch is the other tool to make it more sharp corners. Okay, you can see it. So pinch and the crease, you can explore between these two to know what is the use of it. Okay, this is another very important tool to make more sharp edges. Then the next one is flatten. Okay, so when you are doing something like a mechanical, even for the face, if you want to flatten some area, this is a very useful tool. Like for example, on this region, I want to make it flat. So if you click and drag, so you can see here, it got very flat surface. So like this. See, when you click and drag, so it is flattening this area. Okay, this will be the right one. So you can see here, it has flattened this area. Next is fill. Fill, as the name is saying, fill. It can fill it. Okay, for example, I want to fill some mesh. Okay, so let's increase this size, and if you try to do this here, you'll get a different result, but the fill works mainly in this region. See, I'm filled, so you can directly fill inside. The next one is scrap. Scrap, you want to check with the combination of flatten tool. Okay, explore flatten was scrap. So flatten, just now we saw, like we can make a very flat kind of surface, very useful for mechanical, hard surface modeling. In the same way, scrap will dig more and do the flatten. For example, this is the dig region. So click and drag. Okay, so you can see a more flat region has been created in this area. That is called scrap. See, very flat region. So if I try the same here, similar to flatten, but it is more, strength. It's having more strength than the flatten. So these are all the very important tool which I have explained so far. So that is a level 2 of exploring. Okay, so once you got exploring this level 2, work on this, then go for the level 3. Okay, you can pause this video, first explore all this tool, then go for my level 3. Okay, so in the level 3, I suggest you to explore mask. Okay, explore the mask tool. So very useful tool. You can also see my cursor here. They have kept a separate menu for this mask: views, curved, mask, and facets. Okay, facets we can talk later, but mask is the very important, in sculpting. Like, let's say mask is nothing but hiding some part, right? That is called mask. But here the mask is working like a freeze. Okay, we also call it as freeze in other software. So I click and drag here. I have created a dark gray region. What does this mean? I am freezing this part of the region. Okay, I am masking it out. Okay, it is not going to affect this region, is not going to affect from my sculpting. So I'll go back to the draw tool. Always remember this shortcut key, because this is very useful tool as I told in the level 1 which you want to explore. One, draw, grab and smooth. Grab is shortcut key is G, draw shortcut key is X, and smooth, holding the shift you will get the smooth. Very easy, right? So I'll go for X to get inside the draw, and I'll draw here. See what is happening. So this area is freezed, that is called mask tool here. Okay, I want to invert this area. Then what you can do to invert the area, you can tell control I. Control I is for inverting. So I can invert this region, and now when I sculpt, you can see I can sculpt the unmasked region. So likewise, okay, very useful. Like for example, when you are sculpting, you can mask the eye region or mask the mouth or ear, and you can sculpt. So very useful. Mask, control I, invert it like that. Okay, if you want to get more options, like you can see the mask is having very feathery kind of edges. I want to make it more sharp, or I want to make this selection region to grow, or something like that. If you want to have more options, okay, one, you can explore the mask area. The another shortcut is A. When you are in the mask tool, okay, you want to go back to the mask. M is for mask tool. When you are in the mask tool, click A, then you will get a pie menu which is related to the mask. Like I can clear the entire mask, okay, or I can go here mask. I can shrink the mask area and do A. I can even grow my mask region. You can also see there are additional shortcut key like numbers they are given. Okay, you can smooth, invert, increase, many things we can do using the mask region. You can even extract the mask region. For example, let's go to the mask. You can also see there is a box mask. Okay, so you can create area, and so this is my masked region. So I want to extract this area. You can go to the mask and tell mask extract, okay, and tell okay. So we got a separate mesh. You can see in this right side. Okay, I'll switch off the original. So this is what we have got. And if you want to also see the modifier, okay, in the modifier we got a modifier called solidify. Solidify means thickness, right? So you can increase the thickness inward or outward. Okay, I'll switch on so you can see here. So that's it for today's class. Explore level by level. If any doubts, drop me a message and we'll see in next class. Thank you.